Hello and a very warm welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to Global TV AM News in Nigeria's capital, Abuja. I'm Wuyi Agmofwebe. President Bola Tinubu has said Nigeria is taking a significant step towards a sustainable and eco-friendly future by introducing a pioneering initiative to deploy a fleet of 100 electric buses. The president spoke at a high-level meeting with stakeholders and investors on the Nigeria carbon market and electric buses rollout program on Saturday in Dubai, United Arab Emirates, on the margins of the COP28 president. Tinubu, in a statement by spokesman Ajuri Ngelale, explained that the strategic initiative was aimed at significantly reducing Nigeria's carbon footprint and modernizing the country's transportation systems as part of a larger effort to position the country and indeed Africa as the pioneering frontier of grain manufacturing and industrialization with a focus on natural gas as a transition fuel alongside other renewable energy sources. To spearhead this transformative plan, the president announced the appointment of the executive chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, Zak Adedeji, and the Director General of the National Council on Climate Change, NCCC, Tahiru Salisu, to co-chair the Nigeria Carbon Market Activation Plan. The federal government says it is working with the United States, the United Nations Program on HIV/AIDS, and the Global Fund on an initiative aimed at ensuring country ownership and sustainability of national response to HIV/AIDS beyond 2030. The collaboration came just as the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, revealed that the President, Bola Tinubu's administration, is committed to sustaining the initiative to treat more HIV patients annually using resources mobilized locally. The SGF, who spoke during the commemoration of World AIDS Day in Abuja on Friday, said the government recognized the invaluable contributions of communities in the fight against the scourge. Against the backdrop of pressure from organized labor, there are indications that the federal government would rely on borrowing to implement its plan to increase salary for federal workers in 2024. This indication emanated from details in the Budget Office of the Federation, and noting on the 2024 federal government's budget, where it attributed the rising deficits to three key factors, including salary review, among others. It says the higher projected level of fiscal deficit in 2024 is partly attributable to the proposed salary review of the federal government workers across board. The estimated deficit amounting to 9.3 trillion naira, according to the BOF, would be funded by both domestic and external borrowing. The two key drivers of deficit in 2024 are increased pension obligations and higher debt service costs. The planned federal government's deficit represents about 50% of the government's revenues, but analysts project a higher proportion given the current revenue constraints as well as actual performance in 2023. The Nigeria Immigration Service, NIS, has assured citizens that they will receive their passports 3 weeks from the day of application submission, except in cases of unanticipated technical difficulties. Speaking to reporters at the opening of the Igbogbo Passports Front Office in the Igbogbo Beyeku Local Council Development Area of Lagos, the Controller General, Caroline Adikboju, stated that barring all technical problems, Nigerians should be able to completely apply for their passports and within 3 weeks get it. According to her, since national identity numbers are connected to passports, it is crucial that all applicants registering using the same information as the National Identity Management Commission, NIMC. The Military High Command has stated that troops, in collaboration with the operatives of the Department of State Services, have arrested leader of Islamic State for West African Province terrorists group in the North Central and Northwest zones. Although the military did not identify the terrorist leader, he said he was in custody. A statement by the Director of Defense Media Operations, Major General Edward Buba, said the resolve of the military to go after the leaders of the terrorist groups led to the arrest of the terrorist leader. He noted that air operations conducted in the regions had led to the destruction of the terrorist enclaves. Indications have emerged that the National Assembly would pass the 2024 appropriation bill of 27.5 trillion naira on Tuesday, December 19. The Senate and the House of Representatives had passed the Renewed Hope budget for a second reading. Deputy Senate President Jibrin Barao hinted during the plenary that the budget might be passed by lawmakers on December 19 before embarking on their Christmas and New York break. During deliberations, senators applauded President Bola Tinubu for his good intentions for the country. However, some lamented the failure of the executive to provide details of the budget. Corps members have been warned to shun every form of misconduct through their service year in order to avoid being sanctioned by the authorities. The Director General of the National Youth Corps, Brigadier General Yashau Ahmed, gave the warning yesterday while addressing Corps members in Edo State Orientation Camp in Okada of their Northeast local government area of the state, as well as their counterparts in Ondo State Orientation Camp in Ikare Akoko in Ondo States. He said they had laid down rules and regulations guiding every Corps member while in camp, adding that the scheme is not a safe abode for lawbreakers. Corps members were advised to avoid unnecessary journey and avoid embarking on any risky adventure that may put them in danger. General Ahmed also urged the Corps members to respect the cultural beliefs of their host communities and avoid any action that may put them on collision course. He appealed to them to add value to their host communities by executing projects that would make life more comfortable for residents. The Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, NCAA, has lifted the suspension placed on the Part G operation specifications of United Nigeria Airlines. This is coming following the suspension of the Part G operation specifications of UNA by the NCAA after one of its aircraft landed passengers at the Asaba International Airport on Sunday rather than destination Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport in Abuja. The airline had blamed poor weather for the diversion of the Abuja-bound flight to Asaba, Delta State capital. However, in a statement dated December 1, 2023, the NCAA said its investigation into the unfortunate incident revealed lack of adequate liaison between the lessor's OCC and the lessee's OCC, which omitted appropriate flight briefing from the point of departure. The agency noted that the investigation also revealed that cockpit crew and the cabin crew did not hold pre-flight briefing before embarking on the flights, and that the OCC flight monitoring of the United Airlines does not monitor the aircraft in the company's operation specifications Part G wet lease aircrafts, as well as non-adherence to approved flight ATC flight plan. The NCAA subsequently recommended that the approved flight programs sent to the lessor and the necessary briefings should be conducted with a dispatcher of lessee in attendance. Time to take a look at other stories for you. The attention of the Department of State Services, DSS, has been drawn to some spurious publications by one Jackson today on his X handle against the person and office of the DGSSS, Yusuf Magaji Bichi. In a statement made available to journalists by Director, PR and Strategic Communications, DSS states that the allegations are entirely false and wishes to clarify that neither the DG nor anyone acting on its directive has looted staff subsidy grants, and no such grant has been made available to the service, and once that is allocated, it says staff will, as always, receive what is due them. Bichi has in all ramifications, the service notes, evidently catered for the welfare of active and retired personnel. The Nigerian Navy says its personnel have impounded and destroyed a boat conveying drams of illegally refined automated gas oil, AGO, in the seaward of the Bonny Island Channel in Rivers State. A top official of the Navy in Bonny, who did not want his name mentioned, disclosed to journalists on Friday, saying the boat was arrested off the Bonny River. He said in a coordinated effort, the diesel-laden boat was destroyed by men of the forward operating base, Bonny, putting the estimated quantity of the destroyed products at 150,000 liters. The official further said the recent efforts by the security outfit were predicated on the charge of the Chief of Naval Staff, Air Vice Admiral Emmanuel Ogala, to officers and men to stamp out criminal activities in the maritime domain. The National Drugs Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, on Friday destroyed 3 acres of cannabis farm in Saniya Town, Sokoto State. This was disclosed by the Commandant NDLEA Sokoto Command Adamu at a briefing with journalists at the State Command Headquarters on Saturday. According to him, the officers and men of the command swooped into action to uproot the illegal crop planted in a maize farm, and the suspect was arrested. Further stating at the briefing that Sokoto has a history of farming marijuana, but with the current happening, the state is trying to register itself as one of the states identified as producers of the illegal crop. At an event organized by the Project Enable Africa recently in Abuja to honor some prominent members of the disability community ahead of the forthcoming International Day of Persons with Disabilities, Executive Secretary, National Commission for Persons with Disabilities, James Lalu, has applauded President Bola Tinubu administration for promoting the rights, welfare, and dignity of persons with disabilities in Nigeria. While appreciating the award of honor by Project Enable Africa, Lalu thanked the group for recognizing his efforts and contributions towards the development of the disability community, as well as his sacrifices to see that persons with disabilities have quality life and not discriminated against on account of their disabilities. Hoodlums suspected to be armed robbers have reportedly attacked students of the Gateway Polytechnic ICT Sakpaade, Ogun State, Kele 1, while 9 others sustained injuries in Oderemo in the early hours of Saturday. It was reliably gathered that the attack targeted students staying at the off-campus hostels of Sakpaade in Ode, Ipara, and Isara. The attack came barely a week after the management closed the school for 3 days following students' protests of the rape of one female student last week. The suspected robbers returned to Ode in the early hours of Saturday and attacked students' hostel. According to a source, the gun-wielding hoodlums invaded the students' hostel around 3 a.m. and unleashed terror on them, adding that the attack, which took place in the Larufi area of Ode, left 1 dead and 9 others injured, including a landlord. In some of the viral clips of the attack, it was observed that the doors were shattered, windows broken, and walls riddled with bullets. You're watching Global TV AM News coming to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. We're on Star Times channel 276. Kindly follow us across social media platforms using at Global TV NG and other handles as you now see on your screen. When the AM News returns, Nigeria and Germany signed agreements to accelerate Siemens power projects. We'll be back shortly with more stories for you to stay with us. And now to the foreign scene, the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, has strongly condemned an outbreak of fighting on Friday in Guinea-Bissau, where the situation had returned to calm on Saturday. Clashes between members of the National Guard and Special Forces of the Presidential Guard broke out in the capital, Bissau, leaving 2 dead. ECOWAS stated in a statement that it strongly condemns the violence and all attempts to disrupt the constitutional order and the rule of law in Guinea-Bissau. No fewer than 50 students from the University College Dublin have been involved in the construction of the Republic of Ireland's first successfully launched satellite. The satellite EIRSat-1 is a 2-unit CubeSat, miniature cube satellite, equipped with 3 equipments and was deployed into orbit from a Falcon 9 SpaceX rocket from the Vandenberg Space Force Base in California, United States. The student-built satellite was constructed under the guidance of the European Space Agency. The launch of the educational Irish research satellites 1 has been described as a major milestone in the nation's space history. And in business, Minister of Housing and Urban Development Ahmed Dangiwa has urged mortgage banks to adopt rent-to-own mortgage options and flexible monthly mortgage loan repayments as strategies to develop innovative mortgage products and make commercial loans more affordable. He urged all bank CEOs to ensure that Nigerians within the low and medium income segments have access to affordable mortgages. According to him, business owners should not see the provision of housing and home loans from a business and profit motive, but as a moral imperative to reduce the number of homeless persons. The minister gave these recommendations while delivering his keynote address at the 20th edition of mortgage banking subsector CEOs annual retreat held on Saturday in Abuja. The federal government, through the Nigerian Orientation Agency, has launched a compressed natural gas Keke Napep to cut down the high cost of transportation. The agency, in collaboration with the Simba Group of Companies and Ecomed Acres, launched the CNG Keke on Friday in Abuja. The tricycle is said to consume less fuel compared to the existing tricycles that use petrol, and as such will cut down the cost of transportation to the barest minimum. Addressing journalists at the event, the Director General of the agency, Lanre Issa Onilu, said the project is focused on touching the lives of ordinary Nigerians, especially those living in the rural areas. The Naira closed the week at 927 Naira 19 kobo to the dollar on the official investor and exporter forex window. This was a 16.64% decline from the 794 Naira 89 kobo to the dollar it closed at the week that ended November 24, 2023, and that's according to data from the FMDQ Securities Exchange. Also, the turnover of dollars traded in the markets improved from $75.82 million to $110.14 million in the period under review. On Friday, the Naira began trading at 815 to the dollar for the day before hitting a high of 1,160 to the dollar and a low of 701 to the dollar within the same day. It eventually closed at 927 Naira 19 kobo to the dollar. In sport, Lionel Messi is not ruling out another bid for World Cup glory with Argentina in 2026, despite acknowledging that time is working against him. Messi, who recently won his 8th Ballon d'Or, raced the World Cup almost a year ago after starring for Argentina in the final against France in Doha. The 36-year-old has suggested at the time that the tournament in Qatar would be his last and that he would not be around for the next tournament, which will be co-hosted by the trio of United States, Canada, and Mexico. However, having moved to Major League Soccer's Inter Miami and continued performing for the national team in qualifiers for 2026, he stated that the door remains open. And that's it on Global TV AM News. We're on StarTimes Channel 276. Can you follow us across our social media platforms using our Global TV NG and other handles as you now see on your screen? I'm Uyi Agumofwebe. Thank you so very much for watching. Global Morning continues shortly.